was injured in the war and left infertile. So, who on earth is the father of the child in your belly? At the military commendation ceremony, my officer husband publicly produced a disability report stamped with a red seal. His words were like ice daggers. The crowd was stunned. Then looks of contempt pierced my face like needles. And the man who just last night held my hand and said, "I've let you suffer," was now fiercely shielding the orphan of a fallen comrade behind him. I finally understood. He wanted to be the praised model of loyalty and righteousness. He wanted to marry his comrade's orphan and care for her for life. But his status made that impossible, so he could only make me, his lawful wife, the sinner. Luegwa, remember what you said today. This child has nothing to do with you. I publicly tore up my application for dependent status and left the auditorium in the snowstorm. 7 years later, a boy with eyes and brows strikingly similar to his coldly pushed away a cooperation invitation from the military. His face turned ashen as he demanded a paternity test. The boy's offhand remark made him freeze instantly. "Uncle, your infertility disability report was confirmed by the organization. How could you possibly father a child as brilliant as me?" 1. The conference room was so quiet you could hear the plane tree leaves falling outside the window. Luegwa's old subordinates, who had come with him, were all pretending to study their files, heads bowed. Luegwa slapped the contract on the table, suddenly reached out, and grabbed Anand's slender wrist, dragging him towards the door without another word. At that moment, a calloused hand clamped down on Luegwa's wrist with fierce strength. I used all my force, my nails digging deep into the skin of his wrist. Luegwa looked up and met my frost-cold eyes. The old subordinates behind him also lifted their heads. Time seemed to freeze. I saw something shatter in Luegwa's eyes, followed by shock, then a near-absurd scrutiny. "Li Mei?" The men behind him gasped audibly. "Li Mei? The unfaithful wife the regiment commander had 7 years ago? Didn't she go missing at the train station? How could she?" I knew what shocked them. When I left the military compound 7 years ago, I only had a train ticket on me. Later, news spread that a pregnant young woman had gone missing at the train station. Everyone assumed it was me, including Luegwa. "Li Mei, you're alive? How dare you come back?" I ignored him. Taking advantage of his momentary loosened grip, I pulled Anand back to my side. Anand's wrist was already red. I crouched down, gently rubbing the glaring red mark. "Does it hurt?" Anand shook his head, but his eyes remained fixed on Luegwa. I straightened up. My tone was probably calm. At least, I couldn't detect any tremor in it. Regiment Commander Lu must have mistaken me for someone else. "I am Li Lanfang, Chief Technical Engineer of Deep Blue Marine Salvage Company." Li Lanfang. The staff officer named Li behind Luegwa repeated it unconsciously. "Yes." Before my voice faded, the conference room door opened again. Wang Shulian rushed in, fine sweat still on her forehead, as if she had hurried over. She glanced first at Luegwa, then her gaze swept over me. Her pupils contracted almost imperceptibly. "Mimijia?" She took 2 steps forward, wanting to take my hand. I sidestepped to avoid it. Her hand hung awkwardly in the air for a moment. Then she quickly smiled again. "It really is you. Where have you been all these years? We were so worried." As she spoke, her eyes reddened, her acting skills more polished than 7 years ago. "You left just like that back then. We thought you did something drastic." Later, when we heard about the train station incident, Wegwaji was so upset he didn't sleep for days. "It's good you're back now. No matter what, it's good you're alive." The words were cleverly chosen, each one reminding everyone. I was once a promiscuous woman, a wife who shamed her husband by disappearing, a burden whose whereabouts were unknown worried everyone. The disgust in Luegwa's eyes indeed deepened. "Li Mei, I don't care what you call yourself now. Take that child and leave." I glanced at Luegwa and Wang Shulian standing close together, then looked at the secretary who had been standing by the door, not daring to make a sound. "Xiaozhou, please make an announcement." My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for everyone in the room to hear. Deep Blue Company is willing to cooperate with the military, but on one condition: the representative must be changed. When a new representative is appointed, we will begin talks. "Li Mei." Luegwa's face turned livid. He took a threatening step forward. "Do you know what kind of occasion this is? How dare you make a scene here? Take this BAS. The ones who should leave are you." I calmly cut off his unspoken obscenity, took Anand's hand, and walked step by step back behind the desk. The leather chair was broad and solid. I sat down calmly, lifting my eyes to meet his furious gaze. Since this is a request for technical cooperation, the military should at least send someone. I tilted my head slightly, a faint, utterly cold smile touching the corners of my lips. With clear vision and basic manners. Don't you agree, Regiment Commander Liu? Xiaozhou hardly dared to breathe, looking from Liu Weigua to me, at a loss. See the guests out, I said. Anin waited in my office until I finished work. I held his hand as we walked out of the office. Just as we reached the first-floor lobby, two figures emerged from the shadows to the side. Liu Weigua stood there, his epaulets already removed, his military jacket draped over his arm. Wang Xiuyan followed closely behind him. They blocked the way between us and the main door. Outside the glass doors behind them, the sky was darkening, and streetlights were flickering on. Li Mei, I'll give you two choices. Either let that child come with me for a blood test. Until the results are out, you're not going anywhere. Or, I don't mind making you, your lover, and this bastard truly disappear again. 2. Liu Weigua's last sentence felt like icicles in the dead of winter, mixed with coarse sand, scraping cruelly over the tenderest part of my heart. Wang Xiuyan stood slightly behind him, her fingers unconsciously twisting the strap of her olive-green satchel, which was somewhat worn. Her voice was soft and gentle as a feather, yet carried a chill that could seep into the marrow of one's bones. Mimijia, even if you don't consider yourself, you should think of the child. She shifted half a step forward, her gaze sweeping sympathetically over Anin, whom I shielded behind me. Our city isn't huge, but it's not tiny either. In the future, for the child's schooling, work, which doesn't require background checks, which doesn't look at family background. If his file gets a note saying his mother has issues, a questionable character. She deliberately paused, observing my expression, her voice dropping even lower, yet ensuring all three of us could hear. That child's life would be ruined. He'd never be able to hold his head high anywhere, even if. She lowered her eyelids slightly, showing just the right amount of difficulty and goodwill. Even if back then, Brother Liu's injury. The doctor's diagnosis might have had a margin of error, but after all these years, who can say for sure? Mimijia, I know it's hard raising a child alone, but no matter how hard, you can't gamble with the child's future out of spite. For the child's sake, you should just smack. A crisp, sharp slap abruptly cut off her unfinished persuasion. I had used all my strength, my palm stung from the impact. Wang Xiuyan was knocked sideways. A few strands of her meticulously styled hair came loose, sticking awkwardly to her cheek, which instantly reddened and swelled. She covered her face, eyes wide with disbelief. Tears quickly welled up, hanging precariously on her long lashes, making her appear even more pitiful. In the next second, a heavier force, carrying the sound of wind, slapped back across my face. My vision went black instantly, a buzzing filled my ears, and the metallic taste of blood spread in my mouth. My cheek burned fiercely. The force of the blow made me stagger back. My spine slammed hard against the cold, rough wall before I barely managed to steady myself. Plastered dust rained down on my shoulders. Liu Weigua stood in front of Wang Xiuyan, a solid, impenetrable wall. He shook his hand slightly, as if he had touched something unclean. The look he gave me was one of undisguised disgust and icy disappointment. Li Mei. His voice was low, but each word hit the ground like a stone. After what you've done, you dare hit someone. Which word of Xiuyan's was wrong? Who is she doing this for? Again, no matter when, no matter the truth, he was always like this, standing unwaveringly on Wang Xiuyan's side. So it was at the commendation ceremony 7 years ago, so it was on the steps of the clinic, so it was now. Even though Wang Xiuyan had nearly killed me and my unborn child, in his eyes, she was forever the vulnerable, innocent sister of a martyr who needed protection, while I was always the scheming, unreasonable one. Mom, Anin, like an enraged cub, rushed out from beside me, his small fists clenched, ready to swing at Liu Weigua. Bad man, you hit Mom. Anin, come back. Ignoring the burning pain on my face, I pulled him tightly into my arms, shielding him completely with my body. The child trembled with anger in my embrace. I could feel his rapid breathing and the tears he was holding back. He couldn't hit back. Absolutely not. He was still so small. He couldn't be dragged into the dirty fights of adults. I lifted my gaze, over Lu Weigua's shoulder protecting Wang Xiuyan, to his once familiar, now utterly alien face. The dim corridor light cut harsh lines across his features. "Regiment Commander Lu." I spoke, my voice somewhat hoarse, but unnaturally clear, each word as if pulled from icy water. "You know better than anyone whether you were really injured back then, and how severely. Why play dumb and insist on dumping this filthy water over me and my child?" His eyes flickered violently. His jaw tightened, but he didn't refute me immediately. I slowly straightened up, released an and took his hand. The child's hand was small and cold. I squeezed it firmly, trying to transfer some warmth to him. "Didn't you want a blood test?" I met his scrutinizing gaze, my tone so calm it felt strange even to me. "Fine. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, at the entrance of the laboratory department, City First People's Hospital. I'll be there." With that, without waiting to see his instantly complicated expression, I picked up an turned, and walked step by step out of that suffocating, dim corridor. Pushing open the heavy door, the biting cold of the winter night hit my face like a sobering slap, dispersing the lingering burn on my cheek and the metallic taste churning in my chest. Carrying it in, I walked towards the somewhat old green Jeep parked by the compound wall. After settling him in the back seat, wrapping him in the small blanket always kept in the car, I finally got into the driver's seat. I didn't start the engine immediately. Instead, I reached into the canvas bag on the passenger seat and pulled out the bulky black mobile phone. "It's me. If what I asked for is ready, send it to me by the fastest means possible." 5 days later, Zhonghai City Workers' Cultural Palace Auditorium. A red banner hung on stage. Civilian-Military Joint Advanced Technology Exchange Conference. The seats below were filled with representatives from the military, local research institutes, and factories. The air was noisy, filled with the mixed scent of tea leaves and cigarettes. I sat in an aisle seat. Anan sat quietly beside me, flipping through a ship design atlas. Just then, Lu Weigua sat down next to me, with Wang Xiuyan. He lowered his voice. "Li Mei, the paternity report is out. If you don't want this report to be leaked, cooperate with me on the salvage mission. And apologize to Xiuyan. Otherwise, you wouldn't want your child to have a mother with a questionable background, would you?" I closed the atlas in my hands, my tone casual. "I'll cooperate with the salvage mission, of course. But it won't be with you. As for the apology, my way of apologizing is another slap. I wonder if Miss Lin can handle that." Lu Weigua stared at me darkly. "It seems you don't care about your son's future?" I blinked, an idea forming. I changed my tack. "I can agree to your conditions. Burn the report after the meeting. My child and I will have nothing to do with you, Lu Weigua, from then on." Lu Weigua's gaze turned mocking. He sneered. "Huh. So now you know the report can't see the light of day? If you do those two things, of course I can destroy it." Halfway through the meeting, the host announced, "Next, let's welcome the military representative, Regiment Commander Lu Weigua, to speak." Amidst applause, Lu Weigua steadily walked onto the stage. He adjusted the microphone, his gaze sweeping the hall, finally settling on me. "Comrades, today should be a joyous occasion. But I must speak here about something heartbreaking." His voice, amplified, filled the entire auditorium. The previously noisy venue fell silent instantly. My heart sank. Lu Weigua took a yellow-brown file folder from his briefcase and held it high. "This is the paternity test between me and the child my ex-wife was carrying 7 years ago. As a soldier, I shouldn't discuss personal matters on such an occasion. But when personal issues affect the image of the military and the integrity of technological cooperation, I must step forward to clarify. Today, right here, in front of all comrades, I will prove my innocence." He made a move to open the file folder. At that moment, the projector at the back of the auditorium suddenly lit up. The projector at the back of the auditorium blazed to life. A beam of light pierced the dimness, striking the screen at the front. The previously noisy crowd fell silent instantly, all eyes drawn to the sudden image. A familiar face appeared. It was Dr. Zhang, the military doctor who had issued Lu Weigua's disability report all those years ago. His hair was graying. He sat on the edge of a simple hospital bed, looking uneasy, as if facing someone whose features were unclear. I confess." Dr. Zhang's voice trembled, amplified through the speakers across the hall. 7 years ago, I altered Comrade Lu Weigua's medical examination report. He wasn't injured in the reproductive system at all. All indicators were normal. It was It was comrades Wang Shulian and Lu Weigua who came to me. They gave me 5,000 yuan to change the report to permanent reproductive function impairment. His words exploded like a bomb in the venue. The crowd erupted. Whispers rose and fell. Countless eyes turned in unison towards Lu Weigua and Wang Shulian beside him. The image on the screen continued. Wang Shulian said she was the sister of a martyr, with no one to care for her. That regimental commander Lu was her only support. Dr. Zhang hung his head lower, his voice full of remorse. She said regimental commander Lu's wife, Li Mei, had a strong personality, wasn't suitable for him. If the regimental commander believed he was infertile, he would definitely break with Li Mei. Then, she could legitimately stay by the regimental commander's side. I was foolish for a moment, took the money, did the wrong thing. I harmed comrade Li Mei and misled regimental commander Lu. All these years, my conscience has tormented me. Now I can finally tell the truth. The image cut off abruptly. The projector's beam went out. The auditorium fell into a deathly silence, broken only by the sound of heavy breathing. At that moment, Anin, who had been sitting quietly beside me, suddenly stood up. His small figure, under the gaze of everyone, walked step by step to the side of the stage, clutching a thick envelope in his hand. He handed the envelope to the host beside him and said loudly, "Uncle, please project these for everyone to see." The host hesitated for a moment, glanced at Lu Weigua, then at me. Ultimately, he complied with Anin's request, taking out the contents of the envelope one by one. First projected onto the screen were several bank transfer records. They clearly showed that 7 years ago, Wang Shulian transferred money to Dr. Zhang in 3 installments, totaling exactly 5,000 yuan. This is the evidence of Aunt Wang Shulian transferring money to Dr. Zhang, Anin said, pointing at the screen with clear logic. Next, several letters appeared on the screen. These were letters Wang Shulian had written to her cousin in the countryside, detailing how she and Lu Weigua had schemed to frame me. The contents of the letters were damning. Wang Shulian and Lu Weigua's faces drained of all color. They slumped in their chairs, utterly listless. An even greater wave of discussion broke out among the crowd. Lu Weigua's body swayed unsteadily. He stared fixedly at the evidence on the screen, his hands clenched into tight fists, nails digging deep into his palms. Immense regret and rage flooded him like a tide, almost suffocating him. He suddenly turned to look at me, his eyes filled with pain and guilt. "Mimi, I didn't look at him, just gently pulled Anin's hand, signaling him to return to my side." 7 years of endurance and grievance finally found an outlet in this moment. But I felt no trace of triumph in my heart, only bone-deep coldness. "Regiment Commander Lu, perhaps now we can take a look at the report in your hand?" My voice was perfectly calm, without a ripple, yet it pierced Lu Weigua's last vestige of hope like an icy dagger. Only then did Lu Weigua remember the file folder in his hand. With trembling hands, he opened it and took out the paternity test report. When he saw the line on the report that read, "Based on DNA comparison, Lu Weigua and Li Shuren, Anin's official name, share a biological father-son relationship, probability of paternity 99.99%, he was thunderstruck, frozen in place. The paternity report slowly slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. His eyes were vacant, his lips moving silently. "Biological father. Anin is my son. Just then, something unexpected happened. The back door of the auditorium was violently kicked open.